AITA for accidentally broadcasting my intimate activities during a company-wide presentation. I messed up big time, and I need to know if I am the worst person for this. I work for a tech company. We are all working from home. The company decided to have a company-wide presentation to discuss the new quarterly goals and a new product launch. I have been working on this presentation for weeks. My team put in a lot of hours. The presentation covered a lot of important information. It was critical that everyone paid attention. I practiced my speaking points many times. I even ran through the entire slide deck with my manager. I wanted to make sure I did a good job. I wanted to represent my team well. The day of the presentation arrived. I set up my home office. I made sure my internet connection was stable. I joined the video call a few minutes early to ensure everything was working. I felt prepared. My wife's meeting ran longer than she expected. She did not tell me it was still going on. I muted my microphone for the presentation. I thought that would be enough. I needed to get her attention. I walked to where she was working. I thought I was being quiet. Apparently, I was not. My coworkers saw me. They heard me. I asked my wife to please be quiet. I did not realize my microphone was not muted for everyone. The entire company heard me tell my wife to be quiet during my presentation. I am embarrassed. My wife also works from home, but for a different company. Usually, we coordinate our schedules to avoid overlaps in important meetings. That day, we both had meetings scheduled around the same time, but she assured me hers would be short. I thought it would be fine. I was wrong. The presentation was scheduled for 10 a.m. I set up my laptop in our home office. My wife was supposed to be done with her meeting by 9:45 a.m. She was still in her meeting at 10 a.m. I figured she would be out any minute. I started the presentation, muted myself, and waited for the CEO to begin. I saw the CEO enter the virtual meeting room. He asked if I was ready to present the quarterly reports. I unmuted myself and told him I was ready to begin. I gave a brief overview of the agenda. I began sharing my screen and going over the first few slides. I could hear noise in the background, but I thought I had muted properly. The noise increased, and I began to get distracted. I glanced over to see my wife still in her meeting, talking loudly on her phone. I frowned, hoping she would notice I was presenting and quiet down. She did not seem to notice anything. I continued the presentation, trying to ignore the commotion. I covered the sales figures from the last quarter. I then moved on to the projected revenue for the next quarter. I explained the reasoning behind our predictions. The noise level in the background continued to rise. It was now impossible to concentrate on the presentation. I heard my wife abruptly end her phone call. I hoped she was finally done and would leave the office. My wife finished her meeting around 10:10 a.m. She walked into the office, looking stressed. She told me she needed to vent about her boss. I told her I was in the middle of the company-wide presentation. She waved her hand dismissively and said it would only take a minute. Now, here is where I seriously messed up. We started talking, and one thing led to another. Before I knew it, we were being intimate on the desk. I thought I had muted myself and turned off my camera. I was wrong. I finished the call and tried to process what happened. My heart was pounding. I checked the video conferencing software. I saw the meeting was still going. I quickly ended the meeting for everyone. I closed my laptop. I got up and walked around the room. I needed to calm down. I could not believe this happened. I considered quitting my job. I did not know what else to do. My reputation was ruined. Everyone at work probably saw everything. I felt humiliated. I replayed the last hour in my head. I was so stupid. I decided to call my boss back. I wanted to explain myself, but what could I even say? I dialed his number. He answered right away. I apologized for my actions. I said I was mortified and it would never happen again. I asked him if there was anything I could do to fix it. He was quiet for a moment. Then, he told me human resources would contact me. I thanked him and hung up. I knew this was not going to end well. I waited for the phone to ring. About 15 minutes later, my phone started buzzing with messages. I ignored them, thinking they were just spam. Then my boss called. I answered, and he sounded panicked. He asked me if I knew I was broadcasting to the entire company. My blood ran cold. I asked him to repeat what he said. He told me everyone saw and heard everything. Apparently, I had only muted the audio but not the video. I sat there stunned for a moment. I thought about what this meant for me. My professional reputation was likely ruined, and there was no way to take it back. I began to feel the effects of the embarrassment wash over me. I needed to act quickly to somehow mitigate the fallout, but I was unsure of how to proceed. First, I got up and turned off the lights in the room. Then, I began pacing around in circles. I decided to call my closest coworker to explain what happened and ask for advice. I needed someone who understood the company culture and could give an honest assessment. This person might know how the leadership would react. Also, I thought my coworker could help me figure out a strategy for addressing the situation with my boss. I immediately hung up and checked my laptop. The camera light was on, and I saw the presentation screen. I quickly closed the laptop, but the damage was done. My wife was mortified. She kept apologizing and saying it was her fault. I was too shocked to say anything. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't blame my wife at all. I knew it wasn't really her fault, even though she felt responsible. It was the stupid software glitch that exposed my search history during the presentation. The IT guy swore they had fixed it, but clearly, they had not. I had searched for a surprise gift for my wife and now I was being punished. The search history included some slightly embarrassing items I'd been researching. I felt angry and humiliated. I tried to explain the situation to my boss. I told him about the software glitch and that the searches were for a gift. He just stared at me with a blank expression. He said he understood, but I could tell he did not. He said HR would be in touch. I went home and waited for the call, feeling sick. I imagined all my coworkers seeing that. I knew my career was probably over. The aftermath was a disaster. HR called me immediately. They suspended me pending an investigation. The CEO sent out an email to the entire company apologizing for the technical difficulties. People started posting about it on social media, and it became a trending topic. I have not left the house since. I am embarrassed and ashamed. My wife is equally devastated. She feels responsible, but I know I am the one who messed up. I should have been more careful and paid attention to the meeting. I replayed the events in my head. I could not believe I had been so careless. The details of the meeting were fuzzy now. I remember feeling tired and distracted. I had a lot on my mind with the kids and the house repairs. I should have rescheduled. I should have been more focused. Now, I am dealing with the consequences. I hate that my wife is suffering because of my actions. She does not deserve this stress. She is always supportive and understanding. I feel like I let her down terribly. I am not sure how to make it right. The worst part is the uncertainty. I do not know what will happen next. My boss has not contacted me. The company lawyer is investigating. I am stuck in limbo, waiting for the hammer to drop. I cannot sleep or eat. I keep thinking about the future. I worry about providing for my family. I am exploring options, looking at job boards. I need to be proactive, but it is hard to focus. I feel paralyzed by anxiety and regret. I am worried about losing my job. I do not know how I will face my colleagues again. My reputation is ruined. I know I made a terrible mistake, but I did not intend for any of this to happen. I reached out to a few friends, and their reactions were mixed. One friend said I was an idiot and deserved what I got. Another friend said it was an honest mistake and that the company should not overreact. I thought about what my friend said. I could see both sides of the argument. I knew I messed up, but I also felt the punishment was excessive. The company investigated the incident thoroughly. They interviewed me, the other employee, and several witnesses. I cooperated fully with the investigation. I explained my actions and apologized for any harm I caused. I admitted to sending inappropriate messages. I did not try to deny or downplay my behavior. The company considered all the evidence. They reviewed my employment history. They considered my previous performance reviews. They also took into account my remorse and willingness to take responsibility. Ultimately, they decided to discipline me. I received a written warning. I was also required to attend sensitivity training. I accepted the consequences. I wanted to show that I was committed to learning from my mistakes. I understand the seriousness of the situation. I violated company policy and created a hostile work environment. I just hope there is some way to salvage my career and reputation. So, am I the worst person for this? Was I incredibly irresponsible and clueless? I know I screwed up, but I am looking for some perspective on how bad this really is. I have been doing a lot of thinking about it. I went over the entire situation again and again in my head. Maybe I should have seen the warning signs. I am not sure I could have predicted what happened. I am trying to figure out what I should do now. It is a lot to process. I have not been sleeping well since this happened. I feel like I made a huge mistake that is going to affect a lot of people. I need to find a way to fix it or at least make it better. I am not sure I can ever forgive myself for this. I talked to a few friends about it. They offered some advice, but I am still unsure. I appreciate that they listened and tried to help. It is hard to talk about it, but I know I need to. Keeping it all inside is not healthy. I hope they understand what I am going through. They seem to think I am overreacting. Maybe they are right and I am making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. I just want to do the right thing now. I am still open to any suggestions. Update. I spoke with HR again. They completed their investigation. The outcome was not good. They terminated my employment. They said my actions constituted gross misconduct and violated several company policies. The reasons they gave me were pretty vague. They mentioned a breach of confidentiality and misuse of company resources. I asked for specific examples. They refused to elaborate, citing legal reasons. I suspect someone higher up wanted me gone, and they used this as an excuse. I feel completely blindsided. I thought I was a valuable member of the team. I always received positive performance reviews. I never had any disciplinary issues before. This whole situation feels unfair. I am considering consulting with an employment lawyer. I need to understand my rights and options. I am not sure if I have grounds for a lawsuit. Even if I do, the process will be stressful and expensive. I am not sure if I can handle that right now. I need to focus on finding a new job first. I updated my resume and started applying for positions online. The job market is tough, and I am worried about my prospects. I understand their decision, but I am still devastated. I lost my job, and my career is in shambles. I do not know what I will do next. My wife is supporting me, but I can see the guilt in her eyes. She feels terrible about what happened. I told her it is not her fault, but I know she blames herself. I have started looking for new jobs, but it is difficult. The news of my incident has spread, and I am sure it will come up in background checks. I am worried I will not be able to find another job in my field. I am also dealing with the social media fallout. People are still posting about the incident. Some are making jokes, while others are criticizing me. It is hard to ignore the negativity, but I am trying to stay positive. I have learned a valuable lesson from this experience. I will never be so careless again. I will always double-check my technology and be aware of my surroundings. I hope one day I can put this behind me and move on with my life. I am still open to hearing your thoughts and opinions. Was the company justified in firing me? Is there anything I could have done differently to prevent this? Update 2. Things have been rough. The job search is not going well. I have applied to numerous positions, but I have not received any offers. I think my reputation is damaged beyond repair. My wife has been incredibly supportive, but the stress is taking a toll on our relationship. We argue more frequently, and the atmosphere in our home is tense. I feel like I have let her down. I decided to seek professional help. I started seeing a therapist to cope with the stress and anxiety. The therapist has helped me process my emotions and develop coping strategies. It is a slow process, but I am making progress. I also contacted a lawyer to explore my legal options. The lawyer said I might have a case for wrongful termination, but it would be a difficult battle. I am still considering whether to pursue legal action. In the meantime, I am trying to focus on the positives. I am spending more time with my family and friends. I am also pursuing hobbies I had neglected in the past. I am trying to rebuild my life, one step at a time. I appreciate all the support and advice I have received from the Reddit community. It has helped me cope with this challenging situation. I will continue to update you on my progress. Final update. It has been several months since the incident. I wanted to provide a final update on my situation. After months of searching, I finally found a new job. It is not in the same field as my previous job, but it is a stable position with decent pay. I am grateful for the opportunity to start over. The legal situation is still ongoing. I decided to pursue a wrongful termination lawsuit against my former employer. The case is still in the early stages, but I am hopeful for a positive outcome. My relationship with my wife has improved. We have worked through our issues and are stronger than ever. We have learned to communicate better and support each other through difficult times. I have also made peace with the social media fallout. The online chatter has died down, and I am no longer the subject of ridicule. I have learned to ignore the negativity and focus on the people who support me. Overall, I have come a long way since the incident. I have learned from my mistakes and grown as a person. I am grateful for the second chance and determined to make the most of it. Thank you again for your support and guidance. Your comments and advice have been invaluable. I am closing this chapter of my life and moving on to a brighter future. AITA.